Hello, welcome back to my channel where I make beginner and budget friendly videos. My name is Chanty Fierce and today I'll be showing you how to create a cut crease. So the first step will be to prime with a concealer, and I will of course be using my L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear. There are some primers out there that are thick like a concealer, so they would also be good options. But I don't have any of those, so I'm just using a concealer and blending that out with my Precision Beauty Blend. You will still want to set your concealer as you would normally. So I'm going to take some of the Ciate coconut setting powder and set my eye. And the reason you still want to use a setting powder is because concealer doesn't dry as quickly as primer. But with a concealer, because it's a bit thicker and it stays wet a bit longer, you need to put down a setting powder, otherwise your eyeshadow is just going to mix with the concealer in the wrong way, and you're not going to have a flat canvas to work with. And I'm going to wait 5 minutes before I go in with my eyeshadow, just to make sure that the concealer fully absorbs the setting powder. Once the concealer has set fully, I can go in with my eyeshadow. And the palette that I'm going to be using today is my Morphe 25D Oh Boy palette. And I'm going to start out with my transition color in my crease, and I'll be using this color here, which is called Jax with an X. Now for the transition color, you want to use your fluffiest blending brush because it's not so much about getting the pigmentation on your lid, it's more just creating an eyeshadow base for all the other colors to blend on top of. I'm going in on my crease and I'm spreading the color across my lid. Again, not picking up any more, not trying to make it stand out a ton, just trying to make sure I have an even layer going across my crease. Now for the next color, I'm going to go with a bit smaller of a blending brush, but still a loose one. Now for my next color, I'll be using this color here, which is called Oliver. And picking up Oliver, I'm going to go over that transition shade in my crease, but I'm not going to take it up as far. And the same as Jax, I'm going over and I'm blending it out, making sure I have a smooth and blended color before I attempt to bring out the pigmentation anymore. I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more just to make that shade a little bit darker. Now for my next color, I'm moving on from the looser blending brushes, and now I'm working down to a smaller blending brush. And now I'll be moving on to my darkest color, which will be this one here, named Jace. And I'm picking up Jace and I'm going even lower than I did with Oliver, but still staying along that crease line. The darkest shade is really important because where you set your dark shade is where you're going to want to cut the crease. So with this color, you're already laying out the area that we're going to cut. But I'm using the same technique for all three colors, moving in a slightly circular motion as I move across my crease, and moving more to a sweeping motion as I get close to the inner corner of my eye, just paying attention to not bringing it up as high as I do at the wing, so that all of my eyeshadows tend to wing out towards the end. Now pull up your socks, Fiercies, because we're about to cut the crease. The brush you'll want to use for cutting your crease will be a flat brush with a rounded tip, and it will be very thin on one side, but very flat on the other. The smaller the brush you use, the more control you'll have. Start with concealer on the center of my eyelid, and then I look up and see where that line went, and that's where I would create my crease from. So once I had that line set, the first thing I would do is I'd pull it into the inner corner here. So beginning from the area that I marked the concealer on my lid, I draw it down to my inner corner, trying to keep the line as straight as possible. Then when I feel like I've got a good line entering my inner corner, I'll start to drag it out across my crease. And just at the end, I'll bring it down and then flick it up, mimicking a eyeliner that I would do lower down on my eye. This just creates a really nice shape on the lid and elongates the eye in a way that it isn't naturally. Once I have the line perfected, I'll go in and I'll cover the remainder of my crease with concealer. Sometimes I'll remove the concealer that's there and go in with a primer instead. But with this look, I wanted to show you guys how I would do it if I just had concealer and I was just smoothing that across my lid fully. Now I'm taking a flat brush like this. It's nice and tightly packed, but has a very flat edge for me to work with. Then taking that brush, I go in with the darkest brown color I used called Jace, and I just go along the edge of my cut crease, just sharpening any of the edges where the concealer overlapped onto, and also darkening up the edge of the brown eyeshadow and deepening the effect of the crease look. Now the final color that I'm going to use across my lid is this color here called Hendrix. And I'm going to be using a tightly packed and rounded brush. And this is just going to make it so much easier for me to go across my lid, but not go over into my cut crease. So I'm just sweeping that lid color across my lid space and making sure that I get a nice even layer. And I'm even going into the corner there and making sure that I have a good buildup in the corner of my eye. Now on my lower lash line, I want to reflect the cut crease colors. So I'm going to do the same steps that I did to create my cut crease, but on my lower lash line. So that means starting with Jack's first. Then going in with Oliver. And finally, with a very thin and flat brush, going in with Jace. So I'm gonna go into my Dose of Colors I Love Sarahii palette. I'm going to pop this creamy white shade in the corner of my eye. This will just highlight the inner corner, so I just have a little bit of sparkle, making my eye appear bigger. Once I have all of this complete, I like to clean up the area that I applied concealer on. You can certainly leave it and put foundation on top of that, but I like to clean it up so I have less product on my face. I'm just gonna use a wipe and gently get rid of the excess concealer. Now I'm going to complete the rest of this look and show you the final product. Ta-da! Here it is, the final look. So I added some winged liner just to edge it up a bit. My fiance told me to do blue lips, but I thought that was a little too extreme, so maybe that'll be my next tutorial. I hope you guys learned something about cut creases today and how to do them. The most important thing to remember about cut creases is that you're not going to get it your first try. I wish I still had the picture of the first time that I tried a cut crease. It did not look good, and that's okay, but I've gotten practice with it. And that's why I said I don't do the concealer on my lid anymore and blinking up, just because I've gotten used to where that line is. I know where it is, so I don't have to use that indicator. But when I first started, that was so helpful for setting that line for myself. Another really good thing to remember is that it always looks messier before it looks good. Bear with it. Once you cut the crease, it just transforms the look. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this look. I'm getting some serious Ariana Grande vibes. The great thing about this look that I showed you today is you could recreate this with any color instead. The trick is to start with lighter colors and then slowly transition into the darker colors and keeping it light on the lid too. Now, if you've made it this far, make sure to like my video because that would help me out a lot, as well as subscribing to my channel so you'll know as soon as my next video comes out. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Take it easy. Friendly. is because in order to, I'm going to go over that transition. Don't need much, just a tiny amount. Bang, bang into my heart, you know. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. Ugh.